much money they spent? $7 million for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
People were saying, why don't you give the money to the poor?
Yeah.
The best guess. We're watching the Jesus commercial with feet, with the little feet. The best guess during the commercial was, "Is this for Dr. Schultz?" No, it's actually for Jesus.
I just want to know, like, what group is behind that? Like, who is,
Who's behind?
who,
Yeah.
which group of Jesus lovers?
It's the same group of church.
I see a lot of billboards for that same group, whatever it is.
Yeah, he gets us.
Yeah. I don't know.
Patrick, are we going?
We're good. Y'all going to spend the count?
Let's have a meeting. Yeah.
Okay. We've got Valentine's Day.
My
next
clock's
week.
ticking. We're going.
So it's like, okay, let's get started. Where's our phone goes?
All right, so Gary, you ready?
I'm ready.
Go 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody, to the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting of February 13th, 2024. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Klein,
Here.
Acting Commissioner Grosjean-Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Cohn,
Here.
Commissioner Hurd,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson
Via Zoom. Is
on
she here?
Zoom. She's on mute. I see her there. Lindsay, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry about that. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll raise your volume. Patrick, we'll raise your volume.
We'll be loud, Gary.
You have
President
one
Zuckerman.
here. Did you call Emily?
I did,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
called.
Tell Lindsay to just try again.
Lindsay, can you say something again?
Yeah.
That's
Sorry, I
better.
apologize for not being there in person this evening. I've had the stomach bug going around, so I figured
Thank you.
better to be safe and spare everyone the journey.
Yes, then we appreciate you not being here.
May I have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes of January 16th, 2024?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Hi.
That was a delayed one. Okay. First item of business is to authorize the implementation of the season permit fees for the park for the 24 season. Debbie, just briefly go over what we did from last year and
Let me just pull up the.
I said the same thing.
just as a preface, we've had several discussions about the fees. I'm not sure that there are any controversies about them. We do have one issue we need to resolve.
Well, the proposal of the season permit fees this year, in an effort to close our budget deficit, the recommendation is for an across-the-board 3% raise, except for every season permit, except for open water swim, which had a $10, was raised by $10 last year from $60 to $70, which was obviously a quite a meaningful hike. So we're recommending keeping that flat and raising everything else just straight 3%.
So I'm looking at the chart. We're not raising non-resident fees, that is
That's
daily
daily.
beach fees.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm referring specifically to season permits right now.
Okay, so on
season permits, again, we're not raising non-residents, and I'd like to propose that we do. We're in a deficit situation. Our raise last year was merely a 10% raise. And I say merely because given the course of inflation, and inflation and passage of time, I don't think that that was a terrifically burdensome raise. I think we could easily raise another 5, if not 10% this year, and I think that would be of some help with our deficit situation. We have, according to my guesstimate, about 640 non-resident beach permits. And it should be the residents that we're looking out for and the taxpayers.
So this,
Just one
yeah.
comment, I did not want to interrupt you, but if you see, the graphic shows that all season permits are increased in this illustration.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at,
That's the draft in the book.
this was in my book, but
Oh,
in
yeah,
any case,
interesting.
yeah.
I apologize, okay, so the book,
I do have a different version. Let's see, Wrightstown Park Commission budget. Let me see if this draft is,
May I suggest everybody uses
yeah, this
the
is,
internet
the-
and the iPad,
the
then
res-
we have the latest
So the
ones.
re-
I'm looking here actually.
it's possible that the,
This is the old draft. I'm looking
got
at,
it,
Yeah, the binder that I received
has the old,
the increase.
yeah,
has the increase.
Yeah, so what they're proposing here is a 3% across the board increase now, which is good, which is an improvement, although I think, you know, to Josh's point, that's a burden on residents. And 3% might not get us what we, you know, what we should do because of inflation. We're going up, proposed 2024 permit fees for non-residents, we're going up from 177 to 182, which reflects a $5 increase. From 453 to 467 for the single, which is obviously $14, and then family goes up 589 to 607. And let's see, proposed 2024 residents go up $1 for seniors. I mean, could we keep the residents at 3% and increase the non-residents to 5 to 10%?
We can do anything we want, but the problem is that we don't know what the elasticity of demand is gonna be. So if you raise the rate by 10%, what if you decrease the number of permits by 20% or 30%?
Right,
We don't know the answer to that.
sure.
And anything we do is a guess. My suggestion is that because I believe they were raised last year, correct, Debbie, the non-resident?
Yes,
And now and the resident rate stayed the same last year?
correct.
So to raise the non-residents for a second year and then raise it even more, I think is probably counterproductive. But I you know, would like to hear what everybody else thinks.
I'd like to correct myself there, Gary. In 2023, I believe resident permit fees went up and non-resident permit
Okay.
fees went up. They both did. So what we're suggesting now is that they all go up again,
And your recommendation is 3%.
correct?
I point out that inflation right now is at 3%, even though it was higher last year,
In the year before.
but not the year before.
I see no reason why these things have to be in parallel. We should be taking better care of our residents than non-residents. I'm very happy to have non-residents use the beach. but it's the residents and the taxpayers who pay for the beach. Otherwise, that is in addition to whatever we charge them.
Well, the residents pay for the beach if there's a deficit in operating. They, of course, pay for capital. But, look, I'm amenable. I want to hear what the other commissioners think, and we'll take a vote.
Do we understand the percentage of usage between non-residents and residents?
We do, and the largest constituent of people that use the beach are non-residents,
In terms of permits, or are we talking just daily?
daily, actually.
Okay, so permits is
So
a different
permits,
story.
yeah, I'm curious to know about permits.
You know, I know we know the answer. Russ, do you happen to recall what our percent of, I think our largest permit constituency is the city of Rye. That I remember off the top of my head. I don't have a graphic with me on that one. Do you recall?
I couldn't break it down per village, but we certainly have more resident permits than we do non-resident permits.
Yeah.
But I can't break it down by village.
Interesting.
Because we published all the stats on those, on all the permits for the last couple of years, so you should have that.
Is that in the original budget document?
What the original, the contribution of season permit holders,
Yeah,
it would not have been in the original draft of the budget.
okay.
We can put it in.
It was in response to your email inquiries over a week ago.
So you submitted a request for data.
Right.
It was in that request.
I didn't see that broken out. That is, there was a whole bunch of entries, non-resident, but there was no summary.
Can I ask a question? What does it matter what the breakout is, non-resident and resident, if we're gonna raise the rates? Obviously, you know, it's gonna have an effect on the demand. If we raise the rates enough, it'll overcome that. And,
It may or may not have an effect on demand. You're assuming that it will have an effect on demand.
I think it always has in the past, but look, if economic conditions are getting better, then it may have a very minor effect. So,
Can I just ask, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know you had mentioned that we had raised the rates last year for non-residents. Do we know if there was a significant decline in demand for the permits when we raised the rates last year?
Because last year was such a horrendous weather year, Lindsay, it would be impossible to, it would be very challenging to splice that out.
well,
Actually,
no,
well, no, permit sales, unit sales didn't
Correct.
drop off that much.
Right, because that would
They
have
didn't.
been
Right,
before
would
season.
have had nothing to do with the season.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But I think,
So we did.
Go ahead,
So
Lindsay.
we increased it by, we increased it how much last year?
10%,
And that was across the.
10%,
non-residents.
and it had a very minimal impact on the amount of non-residents who purchased permits, correct?
Minimal, yeah.
Yeah, so just, I have the spreadsheet pulled up. So from last year, this is 2022 and 2023. Oh my God, I'm gonna go blind here. Okay. Non-resident, senior single, beach and parking, we had 441 in 2022, 400 in 2023. Non-resident, single, beach and parking, we had 60 in 2022, 44 in 2023. Non-resident family, 183, 137. Non-resident senior single, beach only 62, 23 we had 65. Non-resident single, beach only we had 4 in 22, and 23 we had 3. Non-resident family, beach only we had 2 and 2 this year.
think those things that are under 10 are statistically insignificant.
Yeah. But the other one, it seems that there was a drop-off.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal opinion is that, you know, we're already charging significantly more for the non-residents, that I don't feel that we necessarily need to up their rates more than we are. The percentage is already upping it more. You know, it's not a flat raise, it's a percentage raise. And we're also increasing the daily use fees for non-residents only. So I'm kind of.
No, the daily rate is for the residents, not for the non-residents.
It was? I thought it
Yeah.
said. I see, for the parking.
Parking is flat.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is that, you know, the percentage increases, you know, is more money increase for the non-residents than it is for the residents. And we're already charging them quite a bit more, so I'm kind of fine with the 3% across.
Now, that's gonna raise more money because they're already paying a higher rate.
We're looking at it.
I mean, my other concern would be raising the rate for the the seniors. But if we're doing it 3% across the board, I think, you know.
That raises the resident seniors from $40 to $41.
And that's just with beach access.
No, that's everything.
Parking as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the resident senior season pass would go from $40 to $41.
Yeah, to my point, just looking here, the family, I was looking at family, for the resident, it would go up $8, for the non-resident, 18.
I think it's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
Joan,
I'm sorry to step on you, but I would agree with Jason's premise in keeping it at 3%. I think 10% would just be too much of a shock to the system.
Yeah.
But I think,
Let's do 5. Look, we're in a deficit budget. We're being awfully nice to people who don't live in our jurisdictions, who come to use the beach. And we want them to come to use the beach, but we also want them to shoulder their fair share. The deficit of course, is, we're starting with a $40,000 deficit now, and we're totally weather dependent. Last year, we started with $10,000 to the good. We were in the black, 10,000, and we came out of the year 200,000 in a hole.
what effect on the budget, on the, I shouldn't say the budget, what kind of a tax increase would it be for the residents of the city and town to raise an extra $40,000? How much would that increase their real estate tax?
I don't think that's the way to think about it, Gary.
No,
I think we're
I don't like to think about it as looking at operating the park as a business that has to make a profit. It's nice if we do. I would much prefer that we operate in surplus. But it's a park. And parks sometimes cost money to run. I don't know that there's any other park in the city of Rye, in the town of Rye, village of Rybrook, village of Portchester, where a fee is charged to go into the park. How many parks do you have in Portchester, Joan?
we have about 4.
How many of those parks charge a fee?
We don't charge.
I know, but how many of them we don't charge a fee to get into to
We
walk
do.
into, not to walk into Rydtown Park, absolutely not.
You
It's
charge,
free.
you charge a fee to park there.
Okay, but we have a beach that
We
we're
don't
at.
charge a fee,
all
let me
the
finish, can I
beaches-
finish what I'm saying? We don't charge a fee to park at Crawford Park. We have a beautiful parking lot here, we don't charge a fee to park there. We don't charge a fee to park, Rybrook doesn't charge a fee at Pine Ridge Park, and you don't charge a fee, I don't know how many parks, I know you have Disbro Park, I don't know how many other parks, you don't charge a fee.
Well, the fees are different there because the purpose of Disbro Park is to play recreational sports, which you pay an incredible amount of field
We do
payment
that,
for.
we do that too. I'm sure Rybrook probably charges for their fields if they have a private company doing it. We charge for using the fields at Crawford Park the same way also.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people walking into the park, parking their car and going into the
Yeah,
park.
but it's a different, that's a
Nobody
different
charges it.
revenue model. And I think you look at Saxon Woods, which the purpose of that is just to walk through it and you pay a fee to go to Saxon Woods, to park there.
And all the beaches charge for parking
Yeah.
and for beach access.
I'm not suggesting at this point that we don't charge. I'm just saying that it's a park and we shouldn't use it as a model of, you know, oh, we have a deficit and therefore we have to make up the deficit and we're gonna charge more. If that's how, you know, the commission feels, fine.
I think, Gary, the point that you're making is that for the park, we shouldn't charge. And in the winter, when it's just a park and there's no beach, we aren't charging. When it's the summer, when it's the beach, we charge.
I don't know, maybe we should charge for people coming to, you know, at 6 o'clock in the morning to walk their dogs.
It's an
Charge
option.
for that, it's an option, we can raise money that way. I think one of the, I don't know if the current budget model, Debbie, shows charging for parking starting in April?
Yes, it does.
The latest budget shows that, yeah.
Yes.
So we're backing that up to raise money.
So we
Charge in
added,
April.
we've added 30 days of charging for parking to the model that's in the budget in front of you.
Oh, and is that in an overview of somewhere?
Yeah,
I just
Yes.
missed that.
Yes, it is in the overview.
It's in the overview, yeah.
I'm terrified.
And I emailed it last week as well. I discussed an idea that I had both with Emily and with Lindsay Jackson today for a possible additional permit that I would introduce to the commission as an idea. It has to be fleshed out. But my proposal is that we introduce a Rydtown bark permit for the dog friends of Rydtown Park, who currently are very enthusiastic supporters and visitors to the park, but have not had a method for contributing to the financial operating model. So the thought is that in exchange for their Rydtown bark permit, every dog receives a very bright colored collar, so everyone knows that the dog is a permit holder, and that we would ask the dog friends to work with us on a code of conduct for the dogs and for the dog owners. And then when a dog owner or a dog breaches the code of conduct, breaks the rules, perhaps there could be a suspension of the permit, and then if enough suspensions, perhaps a revoking of the permit. So to give us some kind of enforcement mechanism and a method for keeping people accountable, that this would also give us a revenue source, not a huge one, but something.
Sure. No, I think it's a great idea. I think it will need to be, I think, some kind of enforcement at the outset. And I know that's the issue with all of these things, but to make sure people are buying them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great idea.
I think it would be an idea that we would need to include the dog friends
Yep.
in the creative process. so that we make sure that we're structuring this in a way that takes all of those thoughts into account, all of those people and their
Yep.
feelings.
That is a very interesting concept, but I wonder if we are creating more work that then costs more money to administer.
It's a really good question.
Right, so if a dog, has an infraction, do we then have to collect the collar? Because if the color of the collar allows you in the park, then if you're in the park and you don't have a collar, so I'm just imagining all sorts of things, but we could be creating more work that is then going to ultimately cost more money.
I think Debbie used the word flesh out. I think that's
Yeah,
part of the flesh out.
That's a big flesh out, but it's an interesting concept for sure.
We're getting far afield. We need to talk about the seasonal fees.
We're talking,
I mean, I think,
the new commission.
I'm
And the
sorry.
commissioner.
I think the question is what is our goal as far as this deficit? We're obviously not looking to turn a profit. Are we looking to get to a point where there's less of a burden, and not completely undo the deficit, or are we looking to completely get rid of the deficit?
I mean, in my mind, you have a budget and you try to balance it because that's just good sort of financial practice, right? And we certainly don't want to.
Excuse me, and custom
Yeah.
for this.
And I think when we talk about, the sort of burden on the town and the city, we're talking about our operating budget, but we have huge capital expenses that both the town and the city recoup to keep the park, safe and looking good and, attractive for people that use it. So I think that our goal should be to have a balanced budget every year. And then, with the expectation that we're going to continue to maintain the park through capital projects, where there is no expectation that we're going to be able to find a revenue source to pay for those outside of, trying to do our best to get grants.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, though I would add that I think we should be shooting for a balanced budget with some degree of cushion, given the seasonal variability we suffer. That is, we had, and again, I'll refer to last year, we had a budget that was finely tuned, $10,000 in the black, and we're $200,000 in the hole. So I think we have to think in those terms and try to be preparing budgets that have at least a little bit of cushion in them to protect us against that variability, at least somewhat.
Well, the key word is variability, because we don't know what the facility rental fees are going to end up. We don't know how well the restaurant is going to do, since we're basically partners with the restaurant in their endeavors. And again, we always say it's, weather dependent. So I don't know, we can do the best we can and try to be fair.
Emily pointed out the capital cost. It just, I'll be quick, Lindsay. We learned today of another $120,000 of repairs, in addition to, Gary, what you presented to the Rye City Council last fall, which was quickly overlapped by the TAP grant discussion. It just builds and builds and builds each year.
Well, unfortunately, the needs increase every year. That's the problem.
And when
For members of the public who don't know what Josh is referring to, the facade on the restaurant was falling off. I guess the area where the deck is overhangs the beach, and it wouldn't have been so bad if it was just the facade, but the facade falling off has resulted in us seeing a potential problem of a structural nature that we don't know the degree of as of yet. So that has to be investigated. But yeah, these things do happen, and I think all of us would rather not have to spend any of this money, and just have people enjoy the facility without, having to make the capital expenditures that we've had to. And this goes back, obviously, and I've said it many, many times, it's not us that are ignoring it. We're trying to fix conditions that may have existed for 20 or 30 years. It goes back to commissions and supervisors and mayors of both parties for many years. So we're trying to make it as good as we can make it. But that still leaves us with the question of the fees. Lindsay, what is your feeling on the fee? I don't quite remember what you were saying.
Sorry. As far as, I just, again, and I know I'm pretty broad thinking with this, but I think, we're talking about the difference between investing in the park for operating versus investing in the park for capital. So I think what I'm gathering from the city of Rye is that they want to make enough revenue to cover the operations of the park, but would be happy to invest in the capital. And I think what we're going to see over time, as far as you talk about elasticity of demand, I think the more money we put into capital, I do believe, and this is, again, broader than this budget discussion now, but the more money we put in capital, the more work we do on certain important infrastructure like the bathhouse, et cetera. I think the more we can demand non-residents pay for their permits, and that'll kind of leave us in a stronger position to cover our operating budget in the years to come. So I think that's a consideration when we talk about the operating, what are our goals with, as far as permit fees and operating costs, et cetera.
All right, so I haven't heard a number. Are you at 3, 5, or 10%?
I mean, I would say it's 3 for now, but I think we do have to kind of keep in mind that if we were to invest funds from the town of Rye and the city of Rye to improve the infrastructure, I would be more than happy to request more money for non-residents. And I think that elasticity of demand, we would have a lot more room with, and we could ask for a larger fee from the non-residents if we have improved facilities.
All right, so I hear 3%.
And I think it just, Portchester typically has opposed increases to resident rates, but so the 3% is palatable.
Is palatable.
All right, so let's just put it on the record. May I have a motion to increase rates across the board by 3%?
So moved.
Second.
Debbie, call the roll.
Commissioner Klein?
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Grosjean-Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn?
No.
Commissioner Hurd?
No.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah.
President Zuckerman?
Yes. All right. Putting that aside, the next item, before we do the facility rental, let's jump down to the daily beach and parking fees. I know Jason has to leave. That's item 4.3.
4.3, page 9, yeah,
Page, I'm sorry.
990.
Debbie, just go over this briefly.
I missed what item you went on to now.
The daily beach admission and parking fees,
Yes,
item
okay.
4.3.
So this effectively has not changed since the original budget.
So the, it's a little large. So the recommendation is that we increase daily fees from $5 a person weekday for residents, from $5 to $6 per person, so $1. And on weekends, from $10 to $12 per person, and that we leave all the other rates the same. And as you can see from the illustration, the reason we are recommending that we leave all the other rates the same is there were significant increases last year. So the non-resident rate, thank you, so that the non-resident rates stay the same. And we can, one of the reasons we can do this is because, A, it hasn't gone up, but B, the residents use the parking kiosks, the parking beach gates, and they can pay electronically. And so changing that rate is an electronic operation. It's pretty easy to manage. The non-residents or anybody who uses cash at the kiosks. The kiosks do not give change. So it would be, it would cause quite a burden to start raising those rates by smaller increments.
But they are able to pay electronically. And would you say, do we know how many people pay cash versus electronic?
I don't have that figure off
Did
the
the-
top
That
of
was
my
on
head.
one of our spreadsheets.
It was.
Certainly, electronic payments outnumbered cash.
Considerably,
So,
yes.
Yes.
So I guess, and I feel like, you go to a vending machine at a sports game and it's certainly frustrating, but sometimes you stick a $5 in there and you just don't get your change because
Mhm.
you don't have change. So I guess to me, that sort of burden doesn't feel like our problem. So I guess I feel like restricting fees because of that reason alone just doesn't cut it for me. I would rather, go up to 17 or whatever, 22, and,
For non-residents as well. That's what you're suggesting?
for non-residents, yeah.
Does a kiosk recognize the difference between residents and non-residents?
No,
So that if you raise the rates, a resident will be paying the non-resident rate.
correct. If they're using cash, yes.
Wait,
And that
Well, at the
exists
kiosk,
right,
yeah.
that exists right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
It does.
So if you're paying by credit card and you're a resident, it recognizes the credit card as a resident?
Nope,
So even if you're paying by credit card, you're paying the non-resident rate?
that's correct. If
There's
you're
only
paying at
one
the
rate.
kiosk, there's one rate, one set of rates.
wait, hold on, okay.
How do you get the resident?
Yeah, how do
You
you
don't,
get
that's the point I'm making. There-
The residents personally go up to the entry gate where there is a live park attendant and a tablet. And then, and the resident proves residency and then pays the resident rate electronically at the tablet.
got it.
So if they use the kiosk, which is, go to the kiosk doesn't know if you're resident or
Sure.
non-resident.
Right.
All right. So, comments. Emily, you have a comment? I didn't see a suggestion in the comment, Tom.
So I guess my suggestion would be that we raise the non-resident rates by 3 or 5% across the board on the fees.
To an odd number?
Right. If it comes out to that.
I would say, since we don't give coins at all,
Make it
perhaps,
a even dollar bill.
yeah, correct, please.
Russ, logistically, will that be a nightmare? Is it already a nightmare? Will it make it 1,000 times more of a nightmare?
Right.
Probably.
For those on the video feed, he is answering the affirmative.
I would have the same comment for Larry. I mean, we did a $5 jump on everything last year for the non-residents. And again, they're still paying significantly more than our residents, so I'm fine with this as proposed, and I have about a minute.
I would, instead of the fractional raise, I'd suggest raising non-resident, weekend, and holiday, each one by 5. So weekend would be 25 a person, and holiday would be 30 a person.
So from 20 to 25 and 25 to 30?
Yep.
Right, well, we could see how it works. Thing is, weekends and holidays are crowded, so may actually have less people packing the beach, which might be easier on our security.
What does Playland cost?
Okay, Playland hasn't published their rates yet for this year that I'm aware of. Less.
Last year, they were $10 to get on the beach, and $15 for beach and pool combined.
On weekend?
Didn't matter.
I don't think, yeah, both were separated.
Well, it does sound, the $30 does sound like an awful lot to be charging for access. Not sure how I'm feeling about that.
I agree.
And we don't know what that would represent in terms of revenue.
No, I don't know.
I would be amenable, though, to increasing the weekend fee to 25 from 20.
Well, that's what Josh is proposing, 20 and 30 for holidays.
So I just want to give some context. So in 2022, that rate was $15 a person. In 2023, that was $20 a person, and you're recommending increasing that same rate to 25 a person.
That's what the request is.
Okay, I just wanted to give some context.
And what's free, 5 and under?
I'm sorry?
How, kids under a certain age are free?
12 and under,
Oh, 12 and under. Oh, God, I mean,
With
it's,
the paying adult.
yeah.
with a paying grown-up.
Seems like a big jump in 2 years.
You mean doubling it in 2 years?
Certainly.
It's a big jump.
It is. And I would wonder, in terms of activity during the weekday versus weekend for non-residents, whether perhaps just raising it a couple of dollars weekday, as opposed to $5 in, weekends and holidays. And we don't know what those numbers are gonna look like, whether it makes a difference or how much of a difference it makes.
You're right, I don't.
Yeah.
It just makes using the kiosk a little bit more challenging because they have to come with exact change. So if somebody puts in, say, $10 and they only owe $8, then they're chasing Russ.
Thank you for your donation.
Put that in the building fund.
I'd like to leave
I would,
can I make a suggestion? I'd like to leave the weekend rate the same and if we're gonna increase the rate, increase the holiday rate from 25 to 30 as a compromise. We have a lot more weekends than we do holidays, but holidays are always the most packed. Jason, what's your thought on that? Or you don't have any?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, it would make it, I mean, if, the question is that the day that we're getting a lot of people, you don't wanna force people out. My fear is that the big jumps are we saw that what it did with the permits, that it lowered the rates, 10% when we raised it, 10%. So it's,
Yeah, I would.
I'm just worried
by-
about what it's gonna do to visitation.
And we have 3 holidays?
Correct. We have 3 holidays. Memorial Day, July 4th,
And
Right
Labor
here.
Day.
and Labor Day. Last year, 2 of our holidays were washouts.
You really only have one holiday.
4th of July.
May is, weather's questionable, so beach really
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Sorry.
September.
So what are the thoughts? Let's consolidate our thoughts.
Well, it sounds like we have some people in favor of holiday weekend rate raises, others weekend rate raises, and it sounds like Joan was suggesting maybe weekday raises instead.
And I'm in favor of all of the above.
Lindsay? Lindsay, are you on? Can't take a vote without Lindsay.
Lindsay, you're on mute.
She might be doing- maybe.
So Josh, you want to go on for weekend 25 and holiday
30.
30?
I'm sorry, I lost the ability to hear.
What is your position on the rates for the beach? Josh is proposing increasing it for weekend 20 to 20 and holiday to 25.
No,
I mean, pardon me, to 30. I'm looking at 25 and saying 25
Non-resident.
for non-residents.
Lindsay, can you hear us? I think she said she lost the ability to hear. I don't think.
Is that what she said?
Yeah. Maybe she left and is joining again?
She went in and she's rejoining.
Emily, what is your position?
Yeah, I'm okay to raise rates.
Pardon me? You're with
across
Josh
the- Yeah.
on both? Joan?
I don't know that I am okay with raising at those rates, especially without knowing what that looks like in terms of, revenue and how that would impact revenue.
So you're for leaving them both the same.
Yeah.
Lindsay, are you there yet?
I see a note from the control room saying they're working on the audio.
Nothing changed. Oh, somebody accidentally muted the town. Commission, there you go. Have it out.
Can you hear Lindsay?
Would you stay until it's working?
Lindsay?
I can hear you guys now, if that helps.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem.
Lindsay, can you hear us?
Lindsay?
I'm back. I apologize for that.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I apologize for that. I'm so sorry. I lost sound for a moment.
All right, so Josh and Emily are at increasing from 20 to 25 on the weekend and 25 to 30 on holidays.
For
Joan?
non-residents.
For non-residents, Joan is not in favor. What is your feeling on it?
I believe that due to the fact that children under 12 are able to attend for free, I think the 25 on the weekends and having a flat fee for both weekends and holidays is sort of a middle ground that we might want to consider.
I don't know what that means. So, give me a number.
She's saying.
So in essence, raise it, so I'm saying 25 for the weekends as well as holidays.
So leave the holidays at 25 and raise the
Weekends to
weekend to 25. 25 for both.
Correct.
Okay. I can live with that.
I can live with that.
All right, you guys? There are more weekends than holidays. All right? All right. All right.
I think it may even entice people to come during the holidays because it's the same fee as a
It's a
weekend.
value.
Okay, motion and a second to, weekend to 25, holiday remain at 25.
So moved.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All right,
Okay.
I'm not, I'll take a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Nay. Josh is nay. Okay.
I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Let's go back to 4.3. The, oh, no,
4.2.
4.2, pardon me. Just
Which is rental fees?
Yeah. There are no changes from last year.
Again, I propose that we increase non-resident. Yeah.
Facility rental fees?
We had 59 non-resident rentals last year. Can we raise these a mere $25?
What is it last year?
Want to get up and speak?
We raised them for everybody last year
We
And we
raised them from 600
to
to
700.
700 and 700 to 800.
And the unit sales dropped.
It is
Now,
really-
it would be hard to really take, they definitely dropped, right? Coming out of COVID, the preceding years were all wonky, so it's
Yeah.
very hard to see where we are.
It's like the kind of thing where you could rent it for like a wedding or like a high school reunion or something, but like, I mean, I looked into it for my kid's birthday party and I was like, no way, that's,
It was too
just to get
pricey.
the space, it's too expensive, yeah, as a resident even.
And we don't know whether that drop-off was because of the increase or just weather, right? We had very few.
Well, the reservations would have been independent of the weather, right? It would have, the weather would have led to cancellations,
Okay.
but the reservations would have,
What were
So,
the,
so,
reserve in
excuse me,
advance.
Emily, excuse me. So what was the number, the dollar number that it dropped by?
do you happen to recall that? I don't have the number
I
handy.
have that in
So-
the budget.
Oh, good point. It's in the budget.
Let's see. So revenues from pavilion rentals, rental income facilities, is that,
Yes, correct. That is, so.
2022 actual was 48,702, we budgeted 55 last year, and we came in at 35,283.
Wow.
So we were down $13,000.
I don't think it makes sense to increase the rates. In fact, you could make an argument to decrease the rates.
It is something that requires a zero, right? Like, what does it require in terms of support, like staff? Do you have to set up tables or anything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And we assign a maintenance person to
Okay,
keep clean.
okay.
Yeah, there's set up, there's breakdown, and there's cleanup at the end. But I think where we're starting to lose sight of is that you raise to a certain point, what's the value? What are they getting? You're getting tables and chairs under a roof and both roofs leak right now.
Not funny.
So you see, you get to the point, you see, Emily, I think you just implied that you looked at it and said, you know.
Right.
So again, have we reached the point, and I'm asking this objectively, have we reached the point where there's no longer value in the rental?
You know, I mean, I've been to like some parties there for like, you know, a sign-up party or like a high school reunion I feel like they've had there, where you're talking about like a good mass of people that are all contributing towards something, and then it is palatable, but yeah.
For organized events where they bring in caterers, and
Yeah.
with that extra thousands of dollars for caterers and party planners and decorations and stuff, tablecloths and all this, yeah, but, so.
But for a kid's birthday party, yeah.
But for a more, local event, like a birthday party or something like that, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's move on.
I think given the data that we have at hand, and being the fact that our objective is to find more money in the budget, we might even want to consider lowering the rentals to see if that would entice more people.
Yeah, I just said
And we could
that,
make more of a revenue.
I said that kind of tongue in cheek, but yeah, it's a possibility. But I would like to go another year at these rentals and
Yeah.
see the consistency or non-consistency.
Is it, when you rent them, it's a 4-hour max, right? Do we have like a daytime rate versus a nighttime rate?
What you see is
What you get, okay,
Weekday, weekend, resident, non-resident.
yep.
All right, may I have a motion and a second to keep the rates as proposed?
I'll make a motion.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Boy, do we have a delay on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If I may just,
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
finish. Yeah?
None opposed, okay.
If I can just make a mention about marketing the park, the pavilion. Maybe there is something that we could do, pick a time frame, book your party at the pavilion, get X% off or something like that. But we have to push out this information to let people know that there is a value, that there is a draw to doing this. Have your party by the sea, whatever it may be. But if there is no pushing out this information to people, we're just expecting residents, non-residents, wherever they may be, to understand and know that this resource is available. So I think there needs to be some kind of marketing behind this if we want people to come.
I think we can absolutely do that.
Mhm.
We've got a great, we don't have a professional marketing team, but we've got some pretty good people, and we can make sure that this is an emphasis, and there could be a regular social media promotion for it.
Yeah, pushed
Absolutely.
out, journal news, whatever
Mhm.
wherever.
Mhm.
But yeah, there needs to be a push if we want people to know that they can come here and
Okay.
have fun.
Good
Thank
idea, Joan, thank you. The discussion regarding the operating capital budget, we're not gonna vote tonight, obviously, we have to put all these numbers together again. But there are two items that I wanna bring up, I think there may be something that Josh wants to bring up. In the considerations for the budget, the assumptions for the budget, there is a $10 administrative fee for the otherwise free season permit for seniors. I would like, my personal view is to in fact institute this. The history, as I understand it, is that commencing in 2009, the then Park Commission, under the leadership of my predecessor, instituted a free permits for seniors for anybody who had a permit in 2009. At that time, the age was 62. Personally, I don't see a reason to have that 2009 year as a cutoff for free permits. Every senior since then has paid a fee as a season permit, a very reasonable fee. It was, I think, originally 20, then it went to 30. Now it's all the way up to $40, which includes parking and beach. And if we're going to make free permits, personally, I would like us to establish in the future an age, not because you had a permit in 2009. I don't know what that age would be. We are, for the first time, Debbie has requested our provider to give us a field where we can permanently maintain the age of our permit applications, so that everybody applying for a permit in the future will have to put their age in. And that'll obviously affect family permits who, kids who are of the age where they get a free permit or not. So we can maintain that record. We don't have that right now. So I wouldn't propose that for this year. But the staff has recommended a $10 administrative fee for the free permits. And that would raise, what was the number, about $6,000, Russ?
Little under 6,000.
A little under $6,000, depending, of course, on the number of permits that are issued. And it's obvious that the number of those permits goes down every year. As we get older, although I don't have a free permit, I pay for mine, but my age group gets older and there will be less.
So if I understand this correctly, anyone who purchased a permit as of 2009 onward?
Prior to.
No, they had to have been senior.
Senior permit, that's what I meant, I'm sorry.
Resident
Senior permit.
From 2009 or earlier.
Or earlier. I
And
see.
but it was 63, right?
62.
Two.
62 back then.
So 2009 to 20 was 15 years, so you're now 77, which is very young.
So when we started this process, well, in my tenure, this just finished year 5. So in 2019, we found out about this and we said, well, how many do we have? Nobody knew, okay? But it was close to 900. Wow. 880 to be exact, if I recall. Now with the automation that we put in place with the, with the permit portal, and we can collect good data. And I think the number last year was 578. So over a 5-year period, we've lost what, 20%? So it's not dropping off, it's not falling off a cliff, but, so what are we gonna get, 550, 560 this year? So, anyway, but there's a cost to do this.
Right.
We have to have people on the thing, we have to help them through the process, online. We have to collect, we have to issue the supplies, we have to issue the permit, we, have to verify their residency and so on and so forth. It takes a few minutes for each one of these 600 people.
Anyway, the budget is based on the assumption of that charge. So, comments?
I, with some reluctance, support the charge, simply because of our need.
I would support that.
Okay. motion to institute an administrative charge of $10 for the otherwise free senior
Senior.
resident permits,
Lifetime.
lifetime permits. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, I have another suggestion that will probably not be popular with some. We have a family permit, and a few years ago, we made a policy to encourage our college-age children who come home for the summer to be included on the family permit from the age, normally, what, the free permit begins when? I mean, the family,
Yes, over the age of 12, so
the-
13 and up.
13 and up are included,
They're included in the family permit, yes,
Right.
up until the age of 22.
right? I would like, for those college age, I would like to institute a separate permit, paying permit, that would be, perhaps the equivalent of a senior permit, or double, what is a single permit? I'm not on the,
Single
Um,
versus seniors.
The senior permit now is $41.
no, what is the, a regular resident single permit?
Yeah, 177. What if we just called it $100? Although then that would be added to a family, so you'd be going to 265, I think, to 365.
Well, the single, the single permit now is proposed to be 182, correct?
Oh, right, 182.
All right? I would propose, for example, half price, let's say $90 for
That'd be
18 to 22
Per child.
per child. A lot of the kids, 18 to 22, have summer jobs, so they're earning money. And I think that, I'm not wedded to the $90, it could be $50, it could be $70. But I think if you're from 18 to 22, you probably earning money on a summer job, and I don't think you should be free with your family. If you're 17, 15, 14, et cetera, yes. You're in high school, you're living at home. Most of these kids are not gonna be living at home, or even if they, pardon me, they are if they're going to college. Most of them are, so they're not paying rent, and I think that it would help with the finances of the park, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Would this
Comment?
be for residents and non-residents, Gary?
Well, I'm looking at residents. Non-resident family is $607. So I don't know how you would escape having 18 to 22, leave that on the family and not also
I agree.
charge them.
It has to be,
It has to be the same.
yes.
So, just to make sure that I'm understanding, there would, not necessarily a new permit, but
It would be a new permit,
it would be a new permit.
young adult. Let's
It'd
call it
be
a
add-on.
young adult permit.
Do you need to be buying a family permit, or can you, as a young adult,
I would say you don't have to buy a family permit.
so the family permit would be from, kids 0 to 18?
17,
17.
and 18 and up would be,
So then 18 and up is $90.
whatever you choose.
But you're saying it would not have to be, the kid would not have to be from a family that has a family permit.
Right.
So we're creating a
A new
A
category
new
of
category.
young adult.
See, if I may, I think that what you might see with instituting that kind of policy is a drop-off in family permits, because people whose children are older, if I have a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, I want to go to the beach with my family. Now you're saying because my kid's 19, I have to pay an additional $90 to go. But I do think setting up a separate category for college-age students whose parents may not have a family permit, but who want to go to the beach with their friends, et cetera, that might be a good marketing tool and a way to sell it and promote the beach among the younger generation of park goers.
Those are good points.
I'd be a little bit concerned that we would lose, I think as Lindsay said, that we might lose some family permit sales because the kids are getting older, the parents are less interested in going to the beach generally, or going to the beach with the kids. And they'll say, oh, well, it's a bargain to pay for 2 or 3 college-age rates rather than to buy the family permit that they would have otherwise.
I'm curious as to kids who are 18 to 22 coming with their family as opposed to coming with their friends. And if you have a family permit and you're 19 years old, your family has a permit, do you have to come with your family or you can come independently?
If you're 16, you can come without
Not
an
16.
adult. What I'm saying is that the
That's the
law,
minimum, that's the bar.
right. So yeah, they don't have to come with their adults, their
When
parents.
you're 19, you're not going to want to come with your parents.
Correct.
Right, so they come with their family permit, but they
Right.
don't
So
need
the-
their parents in tow.
So, to Josh's point, a family with an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old, for example, the parents are not, we're not going to the beach. You go to the beach, you have the family permit. So they get the family permit rate, even though they're not with the family. I mean, the idea of the family permit, we think of, parents coming with their 4-year-old, 6-year-old, pulling a,
Coming as a unit.
coming as a unit. And what we're saying here is, those kids are not coming with their parents. They're coming with their friends. So the question is, how do you want to handle that? I'm raising the issue. I don't necessarily expect a definitive answer tonight, but I think it's an issue that we should consider. And it certainly, may or may not raise additional funds. Yeah,
Gary,
Lindsay?
if I may, just to that point, and I'm speaking from my own experience, I have a newborn, but I also have an 18-year-old in the household. And, if we want to do something as a family, the newborn comes and so does the 18-year-old. So if you were to say to me, the family permit now doesn't cover the 18-year-old, I'll go somewhere else. And, that's just something to consider. I mean, we still do hang out as a family. We're very fortunate in that respect. But, families are different these days, and they're mixed and they're great. And,
Lindsay,
I
I understand your point completely.
Do we collect the data on the age of people? This is something you were just saying you will be collecting?
We do now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we leave it as is. We see how many college-age kids are part of family passes and
Yeah.
evaluate.
No, Emily, I'm not pushing for that now. I'm raising this as an issue.
No, sure.
That certainly we could consider, and when we have the data next year,
Yeah.
then we'll know better as to how to reallocate our permit fees,
To be fleshed out further.
to be fleshed out further.
I'd like to suggest, Chris Serace has been waiting to present his program. I don't want to lose sight of that.
Yes.
Let's do that. I do have some questions otherwise on the budget, but we can do them next time.
Okay.
Debbie, were you guys able to get my slides up, or?
I believe I am, and I'll just go over to them now. On my way, I wanted to point out that our annual community conversation is set for Saturday, May 18th, from 10 a.m. to noon.
Chris, I saw an article in the Journal News about you, and I couldn't find it again. I was going to circulate it to the commission.
You found it about me?
Was it about you, or was it about your partner?
Oh, I think you might have seen it. That was probably Bobby.
Was it Bobby Harris?
Yes.
Can you get me that article? I'd like to circulate it to the commission. It was a very nice one about the
Sure.
charities. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Right.
I have your egg extravaganza teed up, so go ahead and talk,
Yeah.
and I'll
Perfect.
scroll through.
Perfect. So this event is basically a spin-off of an event that we tried last year. Last year we started Pancakes in the Park. We set up a pancake station and a buffet station underneath one of the pavilions. We had a couple Easter egg hunts, and then we added an adult Easter egg hunt. So we just kind of kept adding things to the event. In addition, we did brunch inside the restaurant. So last year we did it one day, and we had a pretty good turnout for it. So this year we decided to go for it with multiple days and see what the turnout's going to be. Easter is very early this year. It's in March, so it's, believe it or not, it's just over a month away at this point. So we're all getting all geared up to kick this one off and get it going. So basically what we did was we took all the events that we did last year and we put them all together and called it our Extravaganza. So our Extravaganza, we're going to have pancakes in the park. We're going to do a buffet inside, which we're calling our VIP buffet. And then we're also going to do our adult Easter egg hunts. All tickets include the Easter egg hunt for the kids. So we're going to do 2 hunts for each day, 11:30 and 1. Unlimited bounce castle in a jumbo bounce castle. We set up a bubble zone. We'll have a DJ, face painting, and then this year we'd like to add in a bunch of outside vendors so the adults have some things to shop from. At 2 o'clock, we'll do the adult Easter egg hunt every day, and we got a bunch of cool prizes. We got prizes last year like Solo stoves and Yeti coolers and everything, so hopefully we have another good turnout for this year, and we could get some great prizes for that also. All our events too that I'm going to be proposing today, they're all up on our website, and then they're all listed up in Eventbrite now. So the wordage that you see here and what I give you is going to just be some quick details of each event. And then if you guys want to look into it more, you could absolutely follow our Eventbrite page. The next event that we have coming up is April 14th. The Music Academy of Westchester actually reached out to us looking for a venue to hold what I'm going to call, their open mic, but more or less a talent show. I'm also going to say for us, we're going to be looking for young musicians with children under 12 and children above 12 that are going to come in and, show their band and music talent. We're going to provide a buffet for them. So registrations are up for that now. So we'll see how the turnout is for this. This is something new, and we're trying to help raise money for the Music Academy of Westchester. In May 11th, we're going to be doing our Suds on the Sound event. This is one of our bigger events for the year. We bring in over 50 different breweries. We have over 100 different samples of beer. We brought in about 75 to 80 vendors last year, live music, food trucks, and games, entertainment for everybody that's attending. Tickets are the same price as they were last year. We did notice a big drop in sales last year, so we're hoping that, we could kind of bump it up again this year. But every year this seems like a great event. Everybody seems to enjoy it, so it looks like it's going to be one that we'd like to stick to and continue to move forward with it. After the beer fest, we have Arts in the Park. This was a 2-day festival that we started last year. We called one day of rain for it, and the second day was, we had a little bit of rain both days, so it was hard to gauge whether this is going to be an event that's going to stick for us. So again, we wanted to, give it a shot again this year and maybe get some more artists. We get 50 different artists, which all include originally handcrafted artwork. So the artists will be there showing their best, most original handcrafted items like wood carvings, portraits, blown glass, acrylic art, jewelry, and other items. So hopefully, we did this event in April last year. We moved it to June just to try to keep it out of the rainy season to see if we'd have a better turnout. So we'll see how that goes this year. The next slide would be Rosé and Rye. This is one of our, I'm going to say, staple beach deck events. This will be, I believe, the 3rd year that we're doing it now. We always have a very nice turnout for this. We do it just as the sun's setting around 6 o'clock, 6 to 9:30 on the beach. We do live music. We do large, giant charcuterie boards. We're going to have chocolate fountains this year. It's just a really nice laid-back event where people can come out to and just enjoy themselves. The next slide, you're going to see a new event that we're going to try out this year. We're going to try to do a Father's Day special event. I'm very curious to see how this one's going to turn out because I know that there's generally not much going on for Father's Day. So we tried putting something together that would be great for the dads and fun for the families. So we're going with the Father's Day special, bourbon, bacon, and beer. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to, handpick some of what we think are the best bourbons. And, we're going to try to find some food vendors and provide some food for sale in the park. And we're going to keep it bacon focused and just a bunch of craft beers. We're going to run this event similar to how we ran the Fall Festival last year. For those of you who were there, what we did for the Fall Festival was the adults were free and we charged for the kids. The kids' tickets, they got unlimited bounce in our bounce castle. They got like a bubble zone gift, so they had bubble wands and stuff. I'm going to set up some football activities and some outdoor games like cornhole and badminton, so the families have stuff to do in the park. And just let the dads kind of kick back, watch their kids, listen to live music, and enjoy the park and the scene for what it is. Our next slide. So the last couple years, our charity event was for the 343 Fire Ride charity event. It doesn't seem like they're going to be riding anymore, so we're really trying to figure out what to do for a new charity this year. So this year we came up with the theme of Paddling Pirates for Hope and Sandcastles for a Cause, a land and sea charity. Basically what we'd like to do is we've been working on putting a team together for this event. Rye Town Park, Russ has been helping us with that. Melissa from 914 Pop-Ups and Tara from Rivertown Sup Yoga, who does the witches stand-up paddling over in Terrytown. We're coming together to put just an event together to see if we could get everybody out on water and raise money for some charities. The charities that I picked this year was was for Westchester Medical. The money's going to be donated for the pediatric comfort kits for Westchester Medical for kids that come into the hospital and just need, care kits where they can receive teddy bears and gifts, kind of soothe them through the process of being in the hospital, whether they're staying overnight or just even for a couple hours. And then the other portion of the funds that we raise, it's going to get donated to the Family Health Center at White Plains, which is for families that are in need of help that can't really afford the health care that they need. So they're visiting these doctors and this healthcare facility for extra help. So all the funds that we raise for this event, we're going to split it between those two areas within the Westchester Medical Hospital to donate and raise money. So we think that this could be a really good event. There's a lot of fun opportunities here, we think. So hopefully we have a good turnout this year, and this is something that we could continue to do every year. There's a lot of details in this event because it's in the water and on the land. So if you check out our Eventbrite page, you'll be able to read more into it.
Chris,
The next,
Chris, before you go on, I notice the charities you have, your text talks about ALS. Is that no longer part of that?
So so I think the slide I sent Debbie, I updated, I've been updating that event nonstop because we were looking for a charity to originally make the donations to, and I had a lot of the charities have different criterias and stuff that they want to work with. So, speaking with Russ, I know that he said that the town of Rye had a lot of stuff in support of ALS. So I was looking to originally get involved with one of those charities, but then I was having difficulty really locking in the details of it. And when I got in touch with Westchester Medical, I felt like with their support and the amount of people and stuff that we could probably gather up to help, that I may be better off just focusing
When you talk
on my
about
charities.
when you talk about Westchester Medical, you mentioned children. Are you working with Maria Ferrari Center or?
White Plains Hospital, it says in here.
No.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. What I'm reading says White Plains Hospital Foundation. Westchester Medical is a separate
there's
entity. So, but the copy that I have shows White Plains Hospital, not Westchester Medical.
Mine
Does
says.
that matter?
It's the White Plains Hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I've been updating. I've been going back and forth on that. That was the last one that I've been putting together, so it's been a little.
All right, that's
Thank
not on
you.
the one Debbie put on there. Okay.
All the information is going to be up on the Eventbrite link, so I'm still updating. You'll see more updates to this graphic. I'll be getting, hopefully your logo on it, the hospital's logo on it, and just everybody that's helping out in the charity event. So there's going to be a lot of updates going on for that event, especially because it's new this year. So the next event is the July 4th beach party. We did this. We've had this party, I believe, the last 2 years. Last year we added the Hawaiian dancers and the fire show in on it, and we had a really good turnout on it last year. So I'd just like to keep things the same way that we did it last year, where we offer live music on the beach deck. We'll have the Hawaiian dancers and the fire show, so people attending the restaurant and the beach buffet, have the entertainment before the fireworks go off. And we'll do our island buffet down there. We'll do a chicken roast on the beach. And so for the next slide is our sunset buffets. We've been doing the sunset buffets now for 3 seasons, and we think that it's something that we would like to stick to and kind of just drive it home and seeing if we could just make it better and better every year. After 4th of July every year, on Friday nights, we do live music on the beach deck, and we provide a buffet, and we feel like this is great because it kind of relieves the restaurant from people waiting 2 hours for a table on a Friday night. If they're hungry and they want to eat immediately, they could buy a ticket to the Sunset Buffet, where we have a buffet set up, live music, and cash bar. Our next slide is the Vegan Food Bazaar. I'm very curious myself to see how this one's going to turn out. Being that we've been doing all these events in the park and at the store, I had a group reach out to me, 2 groups actually reach out to me about doing a vegan food event. To be honest, I don't know a whole bunch about the food, but I've been learning it just for this event. So I'm looking into finding about 30 to 40 different vendors that I can bring into the park, and basically showcase. They're going to showcase their food products and just give everybody a learning experience on vegan food and what it is. We want to provide live music and just some entertainment for people walking through the park also. Next slide is our reggae rum punch party. This again is one of our signature parties that we do down on the beach deck. We always do it on National Rum Day, which I believe falls on a Friday this year. So we bring in a reggae band, we do, a bunch of rum punch cocktails, and we just let everybody hang out, relax, listen to reggae music. We do an island buffet on the beach. Seems to be one of the more popular events that people just love coming to and just being on the beach for. The next event is the Westchester Wine Walk. This is, I believe, will be the 4th season also that we're doing this event. And it seems to be going in the right direction, so we want to continue to do it. Similar to the Beer Fest, we're going to bring in about 75 different shopping vendors. We'll have about 50 different vineyards and over 100 different samples of wine to choose from. We usually sponsor this, we usually work side by side with the Peak for this event to get the live music. So that'll be updated closer to the event. So we'll know the availability of the artists that we can get. The next slide is another new event for this year. So I don't really know what the outcome is going to be for this, but again, I've been in contact with people asking me to do more clothing, more fashion, thrift, vintage, upcycle, just a handmade clothing market. So I'm trying to find about 40 different vendors that I could bring into this event where people could just kind of come in, enjoy the park for what it is, and just, shop the vendors and see just the sustainable clothing and what's out there. So all handcrafted items that people could shop for. So it should be an interesting event. Hopefully we catch some good weather for all these events, actually. The Fall Festival was an event that we did last year for the first year. It rained the first day, so we were out there in the rain, and nobody showed up the first day. But the second day that we were out there, we had a great turnout. People were just kind of walking down the road to come see what was going on. We set up the park basically like a pumpkin patch. We put pumpkins all over the park. We set up some carnival games. We had a DJ, a bubble zone, hay rides. We had kids axe throwing, cotton candy. So it was a good time. We charged, it was free for the adults to come in, but then we charged for kids tickets, which allowed them the amenities during the course of the event. So with the one day being a good day, we decided that we would try to do this in every weekend in October. Main reason being is because it's a lot of setup to get all the pumpkins and move the pumpkins, and then just like we deal with on a regular basis in the park and at the restaurant, we're always fighting the weather. So doing these events and putting all the time and effort forward to make these things successful and drive people to the events, it gives us a little bit more leeway when we know we have more days behind the event. We're not so concerned about rain when we could move the event, move tickets opposed to reimbursing everybody. And I truly think this event here in October basically brings an orchard to Rye-Town Park. So people could come, they could purchase pumpkins, hay, hang out, eat, and shop some vendors. So it was a really, really good day. I like the way it turned out last year. I'd like to see, several days like that this year just to help us extend our season and bring people to the park. And then our final slide here, well, not our final slide, but one of the last events is our holiday market. We've been doing this now for a couple years where, we bring in a tree, decorate the tree, we do the tree lighting, we bring some holiday shopping vendors in, we set them up under the pavilion. We let people shop, we give out cotton candy, and we have our own Rockin' Santa there. So just leave this the way it is, I would say, and then this kind of rolls into our, our Breakfast with Santa season in December. And that's pretty much the end of our season. The last two slides, Debbie, I'm not sure if did you get yep, you did. Perfect. So this is basically what the 2024 menu is going to look like. There definitely will be more changes to this. I just wanted to send you what we had. We are still testing things and trying things, so there will be changes to this. So for now, this is what it's looking like. But again, I think we're going to have to come back at least one more time for final approval on all the menu stuff.
Chris, how does Barley do on these festivals? It looks like so much work.
It is a ton of work, and it takes a lot of manpower, and then
Yeah.
it's hard to say. It's always different, I think it's great, for each event, if we ran down the list, where it's like the beer fest or the wine walk, and those are two events that have been very successful for us. It's, we get the draw for the people to come into the event, and then after the event, we see a huge influx at the restaurant. And sometimes even during the event, people take a break and they go eat, sit there. If they want to go sit down and eat, opposed to being on their feet all day, they go to the restaurant. Same thing with like the fall festival. For the first time last year when we did it, we probably wouldn't have had any business that day, but people came out to the fall festival. They spent the day in the park. And then after, we saw a lot of families come back to the restaurant to eat dinner. So I think the events are good for the restaurant itself. It draws people to the park and to the restaurant. And I think it's good to just kind of let people know all the stuff that we're doing, keep it in front of them as much as we possibly can to help drive revenue.
And Chris, if I may ask, I'm sure you probably do a robust amount of marketing across the county for this. I wonder whether this might also be an opportunity for the park to set up a kiosk as well to entice people to become members or to get a non-resident. All of these are opportunities, particularly for non-residents if they're coming to go to the beach. Middle county folks might really be interested in doing that.
So a permit sales table.
A permit sales table sounds like it's ripe for these types of events.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of these events I do bring in vendors and stuff. And actually, I think at the art event last year, Friends of Rytown Park was in the art event last year, and I believe they were at the fall festival. But you guys are more than welcome to set up at any one of the events. Just let me know, and I'll have a space ready for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, that was a great presentation. I echo Emily when she said you put a lot of work into this.
It is a lot of work.
Chris, I'm going to interrupt you because I want to make sure that I call attention to how closely you worked with the City of Rye last year in response to our request, that you worked with the fire department and got your permits and actually had to buy an entirely new tent in order to satisfy the fire inspector. There was a lot of cooperation, off-duty police officers hired for every event, correct?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say every event, but pretty much every event I was in touch with them, letting them know what was going on, and we determined if they were needed or not.
Were these intermunicipal? Did Portchester and Rybrook have an opportunity to participate as well?
It's jurisdictional.
It's jurisdictional. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
off-duty as well?
Yeah, by definition, right.
Gotcha.
So they were off-duty officers.
Okay.
And because Rytown Park is within the jurisdiction of the City of Rye,
Okay.
it's City of Rye Police Department
Gotcha. Thank you.
and Fire Department.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, is that it for you?
That's it for me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Debbie has an item on here discussion regarding policy for accepting donations for park benches.
So we have, traditionally, when I first started, the donations for park benches was a program handled by the Friends of Rytown Park. There was a collaboration that would go on. The Friends would get a donation. They would let us know. The park would buy the bench through government pricing. We would handle installation. The donation went to the Friends. Shortly thereafter, we were informed that the Friends felt that there were enough benches and they were out of the bench business. So I said, well, if somebody would like to donate to the park, I would like to arrange to take that donation. Thank you very much. And so we have taken that on. But we have reached a place, after several years of push and pull with the park director, we are ready to admit that we've got a lot of benches. And we're struggling with where to put benches. We are also, from time to time, struggling with people who have donated benches who don't like where their bench is located. And it's taking up a significant amount of staff time to handle those situations. We currently have a half a dozen inquiries who are waiting for us to get back to them on, can they please donate money in memory of.
Let's make it a water fountain.
We don't want to have a memorial park.
Yeah. Terracotta roof tile.
Josh, that was my phraseology also. I agree with you. It's, I think we need to find a way to take donations for those people who want to, but what is the appropriate vehicle? I think we need to think about that.
Can we have a donor wall with plaques or something like
Could have something like that, or, you know, or maybe on one of our paths to have bricks
Mm-hmm, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say
laid
that.
down,
Yeah.
you know? And
Identify
We
a
have a brick
walkway.
maze, don't we? It's not really
Yes,
a maze.
the
That's the
Soul
Youth
Riders.
Council.
Soul Riders,
have a, thank you, labyrinth.
labyrinth.
An open labyrinth,
Yeah.
that's brick, yes.
Yes.
This leads me to a different topic slightly, but.
Can we finish this topic?
Yes.
Unless we're finished with the topic. And
No.
Debbie, else did you want to go with this?
It was how to handle the offers of donated benches, and where would you like to set the policy for us to implement?
Could we make it into like a tree garden sort of thing? Like, no.
Well, there will be a limit to the number of gardens that can be
Yeah,
sponsored.
sure.
And I would also say that a donated garden becomes more work for maintenance.
Yeah.
Part of the-
Trees,
Part of the problem with donating trees is what happens if the tree dies? And the family that donated said, my tree died, you gotta replace it.
Right.
Well, you know, we don't wanna spend our money replacing a
Right.
tree that was donated. So, I mean, it's a difficult issue. I think the sense of the commission is no more benches. So, the next.
all right, so let's put our imagination
So
to work,
we have to
and we'll
figure
come
out
back.
an alternative to benches whereby we can accept donations
Mhm.
in a way that is non-obtrusive and, in Josh's words, does not make the park a memorial garden.
Can we invite some local artists to help us figure this out, to get some ideas?
I would
I-
love that.
I start with the memorial plaque wall or something somewhere, but that I'm sure is an exhausted idea, and more creative people can come up with something.
Why don't you
Better.
endow some sort of rotating art exhibits that
This-
would not be permanent installations, but would be rotating?
Yeah, but will people donate to that?
Yeah.
When people donate, they want to see, I donated that, I see the bench, I see the tree, I see the wall.
Well, I have often heard, my mother, my father, loved to come to the park. They would sit right there, they would look at the water. I would like to visit and be able to visit that place. There's a very emotional connection.
I like the idea of commissioning artists to come up with a concept. I think that makes sense. And maybe it is a shingle or something that hangs from that artwork that, you know, can reflect the family or whatever. But yeah, there are only so many benches.
My question is related and not related, but it relates to the poetry path, which is a permanent, I guess seeing it feels like a lot of the installations are, you know, either have been damaged or are kind of getting like worn. And I remember when they presented and I was so in love with this idea, and then they said, they just stay there. And I guess, I don't know if there is a plan, and maybe this is appropriate. There is a plan. Okay. Forget it. I'll talk to Diana. Or you.
I've been in touch with the folks that, Amy V. Vigianicar and such, and we've already started to compile a list of poems that either need to be, refurbished, reinstalled, just refreshed or removed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so, right, and I don't know exactly where they are on that, but it's an ongoing thing, and it's going to be addressed this spring.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Any other business for the commission other than asking for comment on, public comment on non-agenda items? Are there any comments?
None on Facebook.
We have somebody in person. Oh, my God. Hi.
Hi, this is Chris Myers. So I'm a board member of the Friends of Right Town Park, and I've not been around long enough to say much about this, but that last conversation we had about the benches is something that we think about. Because we have, we wanted to move on beyond the benches ourselves, but there's a lot of things we get for donations to maintain different parts of that and to maintain the garden. So I can't really say anything on behalf of the board because I think I'm too new, but I'll speak to Diana about that. And as you guys think about how you accept donations as well, we'd love to be part of a conversation so that we're working together to beautify the park, because that's what we're here for. So I just wanted to mention that.
We are partners in this, so anything we do, we certainly want you involved.
Yep, absolutely. So I just put that on the record, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome. Well, if there are no further items of business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.